Good afternoon. Welcome to the final episode of Freeworld News Header for the 2015. So to begin quickly, I'm going to talk a little bit. I'm going to ask you a little bit about currency, the latest in currency.
Yeah, on Wednesday we had last Wednesday we had the Wednesday night we had the Fed meeting, which was a historic thing because this was the first rate increase. Everybody's expecting an interest rate increase. First since I think 2007 or something, the recession. So the short form of it was a signal that the recession is now over. And people were expecting the rate rise to be 0.25%. And that's exactly what it was. So that came out at 7 o'clock. And because it was spot on the button of 80% of the expectations, there was hardly any movement. Then there was a half-hour speech by Yellen, and during that speech there was quite a lot of volatility, and for about an hour and a half afterwards there was also quite a lot of volatility. Trading was closed in Europe, it was going on in America. Prices were really, the euro was trading between 108.60 and as high as 110. So this is sort of burst of activity. But it didn't really go anywhere near as much up or down as the ECB announcement. And we're now kind of drifted off a bit. Now we're closer to 108 on the euro. Sterling's taken a dive, so I think that's overall its dollar strength is showing. So it does seem like the market thinks that this is a reasonable thing, and also it perceives the quarter percent rise and Yellen's speech afterwards as an indication that there'll be a number of small increases in the next coming year. Certain things are now becoming more likely, like the pound might increase, but I think there's a sort of muted optimism feeling, and we will probably see the euro continue to weaken a little bit, maybe. But I'd say 108 at the moment.
Right, okay, thanks very much for this. Now I'm going to introduce our almond trader Michael Stevens for the second part of this header and give you a little rundown on what's happening with the latest on almonds. Thank you very much and have a good Christmas and New Year.
Hi Michael, how are you doing?
Yeah, good.
All right, yeah. What's the almond market been up to in the last few days?
Well, I think the last report we did was straight after the November number.
Yeah, that's right.
And which was weak, poor 140 against 145. So yeah, basically since then the market's drifted down and down. It's been a little bit more stable over the last day or two, but the general trend is still a feeling of we're not really sure where this is going, and a lot of buyers still seem to think that the market has to come down a bit more.
Yeah.
It's also the time of year that it is. We're a few days away from Christmas.
Hardly any buyers around.
Yeah, people already on holiday, so the market's kind of stabilized a little bit, but it has come down, I would say, about 50 cents or so since the shipment number from about 360.
50 cents is a lot for it to come down, and I presume it's the usual story, the secondary market kind of leading the way down and then looking over its shoulder to see whether California's following them.
Yeah, some Californians are, some are 10 cents above, and some are saying we're still a bit worried about the fact that there hasn't been enough rain, and we would rather wait until the beginning of the year before we get involved in this.
And what we're seeing now is, initially because of the very high prices, we've got a story which I hope we can reference, but it was in the Times, but basically there's been a lot of, there seems to be concerted criminal activity going on in terms of heisting lorries full of nuts in California.
Yeah, well, we've seen it here in Europe as well.
Yeah, we've seen it here with hazelnuts and almonds, and the fact that you can have a truck sitting there with maybe $500,000 worth of cargo on it. So people are hacking their way into logistics providers' databases.
Yeah, it seems quite a. It's not just sort of people.
It's organized crime, Michael. That's what it is. It's organized crime, which may be a good description of the entire arm industry. But so you've got these guys moving into this territory where they see fairly lax control over very expensive cargo. Yeah. On the other side, we see, essentially criminal activity going on in Dubai, where there was a kind of ring thing going on with banks, invoice financing. The banks have just said, well, no more nuts for us.
Yeah.
And there's quite a lot of cargo headed back to America, must be arriving about now.
Yeah, heading back, and there's some that are still stuck there and some that's stuck in warehouses there.
Yeah, and then, we've had all this because of the high prices, but we've also got now, as you say, 50 cents off in a week, and that adds up for some of the players. And, there's sort of rumors that contracts need renegotiating to go to China. I was just talking to a Chinese pumpkin guy. Pumpkin, goji, domestic demand is not strong in China at all.
Yeah.
There's no contract anyway.
On the sales side. Yeah.
On the sales side.
Yeah.
So it's the importers are going to take the brunt of this. And I don't know, maybe they're trying to wash out, maybe they're trying to renegotiate a price or whatever it is. On the full scale of things, the damage they would suffer is probably a lot less than they made on the way up. But what I'm saying is you've got this combination of still high prices. I mean, the cargo is worth a lot of money, and intense volatility.
Yeah. And
so it's a bit like the Forth Road Bridge, which is closed at the moment. Closed why? Because it's taking 3 times the amount of traffic that was designed to make to allow. Plus, all the freight is a lot heavier. The strains that it's going through. And I think we've got a similar situation with almonds, where a distribution system where, let's say, the strength of the principals was commensurate with the risks that they were carrying, has now got a lot riskier, and the numbers are a lot bigger, and the cost of going wrong is a lot higher. I mean, we as a company are being a lot more, let's say, a lot less cavalier.
Yeah.
And I think the number of these the secondary market's a lot barer than it used to be. So I think things have got to calm down a little bit now.
Yeah, I mean, you just to plot the price on almonds in the past few months, you've gone up to 470, down to 340, back up to 370, and now down at 350.
Yeah, it's like trading dynamite. It's not.
I mean,
it's going to go off in your hand every now and then.
Yeah, and if you keep flipping the coin and getting the wrong side of it, how many times can you take it?
Yeah, it's just not worth it. After a while, it just seems better to back off and take a laissez-faire kind of attitude to it, and then of course that just increases the volatility if people do that.
Yeah.
Because there's less traction.
So I mean, going forward though, we've got if they do wash out some of these contracts that we're hearing rumours of, obviously then you've got to resell all those almonds again.
Yeah, that's right.
It's not just paper on paper.
Yeah, that's right. It's physical goods.
It's physical goods. So there's going to be. There could be a huge carryover unless sales pick up, and that's where they're trying to find the traction now.
Well,
and it's not the right time of year to do it.
It's difficult to just get more sales.
Yeah, so we'll see.
So there we are. Thanks very much.